There's a video that is going viral apparently of JK's privates being touched. We'll get into it. We have JK being shirtless on his recent documentary, but then it being streamed on illegal sites. And then we have fans protesting on what's going on with JK at the label right now. So hey, Dumplings, it's Steve Desai. Let's get into it. There was recently a post about Jimin with the label, and I'll get into what the protest is, but the reaction that I had seen happen, which was the community being upset over Jimin being allegedly mistreated, but on the other side of the fandom and community that were only solo fans of JK, they were being upset and protesting too. However, their thing of being upset has nothing to do with Jimin. They were just getting upset about JK, because it seemed like they didn't want Jimin to just be the only person that was trending or being talked about. And when I see stuff like this happen, it makes me think that nothing is ever going to change. Now, I personally don't think that there's anything specifically very wrong, and of course, we'll get into it and talk about it, but when I see two sides of the community almost seeming like each of them is just vying for more attention, I can imagine a label or anyone who is looking into the drama really thinking that this drama has nothing to do with the label and then ignores it. So instead of the label then taking action on something that they could have potentially done wrong and fix it, they're now just seeing that this is clearly a fan war and they're not getting involved. So what happened and what's going on? Well, apparently recently there was a post by the label congratulating BTS on their songs for the year, except they didn't show any BTS songs, they just showed Jimin. And a lot of people who were Jimin supporters were very upset because they felt like the label completely forgets Jimin and often ignores Jimin's achievements, but now they want to talk about an achievement that BTS has done, and then they just use Jimin as the face of BTS when they normally wouldn't even mention Jimin at all. This is what the community is saying. This is not what I'm saying. So then right after that, the community that just likes JK and doesn't like any other member decides to talk about or bring up how the label didn't mention JK last year and completely forgot about JK last year. Mind you, that was an issue last year, and it being brought up now makes no sense, and it seemed like it is only being brought up to take attention away from the Jimin issue. Because what's the point of bringing that up now? It's been a year, the label will likely not mention it, and if you haven't been upset and constantly tweeting about this issue throughout the year, then bringing it up now when there's a different issue coming up doesn't make any sense. And just, again, makes the label, if they were to see this, think that this is a fan war issue rather than an issue that they need to fix themselves. Of course, you need to keep in mind that anytime a label does anything or anytime anything gets posted, it's oftentimes not the fault of the label, but as a whole. But perhaps the social media manager or the person that's in charge of posting, you don't know what their strategy is and what process behind why they do certain things are. And it's interesting because a lot of people in the community like to say that specific people in the label are out to get specific members. But I'll tell you, for most labels and for most people who are professionals that work in the industry, they're not thinking about stuff like that. They remain pretty neutral about any group that they like, and a lot of people that are in the industry are not constantly being starstruck and constantly saying, I need to support this group but not this group, and they're not dealing with the petty fan war stuff. They are professional, they do not stan any group, they do not hate any group, and they just do their job. If they happen to forget one or two times to post something or forget a member or whatever it is, that's simply because they forgot, and likely because they are not fans. And then if people were to say, well, then the label should hire fans, that can be even more dangerous because of something like this, right? A fan war could break out within the staff at any time, and then the person who's supposed to be professional would be the one behind that, or could attempt to sabotage a specific member or whatever. It makes me very upset when I see people trying to attack one specific member or potentially trying to sabotage one member, because each and every one of them are so sweet and kind and deserve the utmost love that they definitely do not always get. We recently got to see a little bit more of a breakdown with what JK does behind the scenes to prep for his music. There was a scene in which he was shirtless and he was putting on a hoodie, I believe, and people online went absolutely crazy. There were comments of people saying, don't ask me the color of anything. If you don't know where this comment comes from, it's basically a meme where people would show a provocative image of something or someone. It's typically a woman and she's wearing pretty much nothing. Obviously, can't show that here, but then the caption will be like, what's the color of something in the background? And pretty much everyone will miss that thing and not know the color because they're staring at the provocative part of the woman. Now in this case, it's JK and him being completely shirtless. Now, I believe this was in his living room, which I think looks absolutely beautiful. So I was very happy to see that he was living very well. I mean, we do this already, but still nice to see. There were then some people saying that they had downloaded the movie illegally online somewhere, and they were basically watching JK shirtless on these illegal sites, which of course sounds a lot worse than it actually is, but it's what was happening. I imagine someone coming into the room as a fan is watching this moment, and maybe they see that this is a website with very strange letters in the name, and they're like, what are you watching? And why are you watching this on this strange website? I definitely don't recommend watching anything on strange illegal websites, not because you need to feed into capitalism and you need to pay for everything that you watch, because I definitely don't always do that, but because you definitely can get a virus, so make sure you cover yourself when watching stuff like this. But also, if you do have the funds and you wanted to treat yourself to a little bit of a Christmas holiday or a gift holiday, then definitely go and purchase it, because the money definitely still goes back to JK himself, and then this funds a potential next project that he could be working on. One of the things that is a key indicator for a label is when they see how many people are purchasing the movie or the documentary. And if more people have purchased the documentary and the label had huge success with that, they might start to do that with other groups, or they might start to do that with BTS as a group. So keep in mind all of that before you decide to pirate something. There's also been some talk of an alleged soldier touching JK's private part. Now, the alleged soldier is Jimin, and I didn't find out about that until I clicked through and then saw the final video that people were talking about and realized, oh, this is just Jimin. And it was more so a speculation of Jimin touching a specific body part rather than a confirmation that he did. And so what was this video and why were people talking about it? So this happened not too long ago when Jimin and JK seemingly were in a practice room together. They came together to do a hug/handshake type of situation, and it was likely to either say well done or say hi. And people were talking about how it seemed like Jimin's hand missed where it was supposed to go and went straight to the nether region of JK. People quickly picked up on this and were basically saying that Jimin needs to watch where his hand goes, or that maybe it was done intentionally because people believe that they're both in a relationship together. This is where I have to come in and really talk about things, because that would be kind of gross and weird if they were in a relationship together, and that was something that Jimin decided to do in public. Now, it wasn't in public like on the street, but if there was a camera rolling, it would be in public, because essentially there would be at least a bunch of people watching, obviously, but at least one or two editors that would be going through the video that would then have to cut out this moment that would potentially make them very uncomfortable, given they live in a society that is very homophobic. So staff or whoever that has to look at this would be very uncomfortable. And then also, just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you grab each other in private areas in public. I think most people would find it very inappropriate if there's a significant other and their significant other just decides to grab any other body part other than the butt. I think the butt is most socially acceptable, right? But like when you slap someone there or whatever. But if you were to just grab any other body part in public, I think people would think that that's very weird. Now, from my perspective, what I saw, I think the hand was just placed in front of that area as he was coming in for a hug. And I don't think that it actually made contact or touched that part of JK's body. But even if it did, it's also very important to understand how that could happen. When I'm in a crowded area, or even when I go near someone and we're having a intimate hug or whatever, there's a chance that things are going to touch. If I'm in a crowded area or a moment where there's not much space between people, there are times where a hand touches a butt or a hand touches a boob or whatever it is, and it's not intentional. And of course, this can happen in a crowded area and also a moment in which you come near someone. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks. Just leave a comment right here. Love you. Bye.